All right, guys. So, warm welcome to the session today. Like every time, we bring you amazing success stories of students who have not just done well in GMAT but have also gotten into their dream B schools. And every week, we try to bring you some new stories. Last week, for those of you who did not join it, we did an interview with one of our friend's students, basically where we covered the journey of her, where she improved her GMAT by close to 300 points in about 2.5 months time. So if you did not watch that interview, there is a link which I'm sharing in the chat, which you can go and watch. And every week we try to do a story like that. Like 1 week earlier than that, we covered a story of someone who gotten into like who actually prepared for the GMAT for like 6 attempts to get to a 740. So again, there are multiple stories that we try to cover. Today is an amazing story of an amazing success in terms of getting into the dream schools and what one can do beyond the traditional things that you see. Like most of you know that okay, your LOR matters, your essays matter, your resume matter, but those are the documents that you are sending. Along with that, what else can be done? Something which no one really talks about in the industry, very, very rarely. And we have an amazing, inspiring story with us today. So, without any further ado, let us invite Shefali into the meeting. So, warm welcome, Shefali. Like, I'm very sure that would have really felt great when you converted Vanderbilt, and I understand that you were also able to get to the second stage, like get it is at a lot of universities, including Cornell, Duke, and Pepper, amongst a lot of them. So let's talk about you first. Let's start with your introduction. So let's tell the viewers more about you first. Yeah.
Sure. Hi guys. Thanks for joining this session. And I'm Shefali. And I think, like you at this stage, I was also applying to a bunch of universities. And a little bit about me, I have roughly 6 years of investment banking experience and a little bit of not for profit work. And after that, I decided to, go about and apply to a bunch of universities.
Okay. Okay. So after 6 years of experience, basically, when
Yeah.
you applied, you had around 6 years of experience.
Yeah.
Great. Great. So Sefali, let's talk about when did this thought of doing an MBA came to your mind, and why did you want to do an MBA? Let's get some background around that as well.
Okay, so I think I always knew I wanted to do an MBA, but after working in banking for roughly 6 years, I decided that maybe I want to do this in a different geography, or maybe altogether shift into a different field like technology. You see a lot of like product management roles, and I felt like an MBA was the best course to give me that pivot.
Okay. Great, great, great. And when you started working on your application, again, you probably knew
Yeah.
that you probably don't have the best test scores, basically, best test score that you can apply to the B school with. Now, in many cases, when people apply to top 30, we hear from them that a high score is very important, especially when you are an Indian student. Like
Yeah.
you end up doing well on the test. So people expect, B schools expect a lot from you in terms of test scores. So, what was your thought process around that time? Like, I know the answer, but I want basically
Yeah.
my job is today to kind of ask the questions that the users are probably going to have in their mind, and obviously, all the
Yeah.
users can also ask the questions as we go
Sure.
forward.
So I
Yeah.
think this is very subjective, and as someone who's applying for an MBA, I would always advise you to apply in round one. But because I, decided every year that I was going to be, applying and applying, but I never landed up applying because I didn't start with the first step that was taking my GMAT or the any test exam basically. I missed the round one deadlines. So I targeted the round two deadlines, and hence I started my prep sometime in September. I got in touch with Piyush, and I, asked him for like ideas and how the timelines would look like for me. So they worked with me on my journey. They helped me identify my strengths, my weaknesses. We basically got that in order for a month, for like a month and a half. I was working with Piyush's team, and they helped me streamline everything together so that by the time when Jan hit, basically when all your round two deadlines are, I was prepared, to start with my essay writing. And
Hmm.
I think my essay writing I began in early December because I had a target of 3 or 4 schools that I wanted to, get done with. But again, this is a very long process, and essays take a while, so I don't think you can target more than 2, 3 schools in each round.
No, that's true. That's true. And in fact, this is one thing which I wanted to cover because most people think that application begins with essays. Like what they do is they go to the B School's website, they create an account, download the essay prompts, and start writing the
Yeah,
essays directly. So,
it's all
what
possible.
according to you should be the right step basically? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the first thing is that you need to go and obviously have a look at what your target schools are and what the essays look like. And
Mhm.
then you need to start thinking and doing your own introspection as to what your particular strengths are. What have you achieved so far at work? Were there multiple promotions that you can highlight in your essay? Were there different jobs that you moved from? And basically create a story around it is what you need to work on. You need to identify what kind of social projects that you worked on, or even at work. Basically, this is like strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, places where you identified your leadership potential. And I think having that in place in like an Excel or something really helps you to remember that, and then
Exactly.
move on and create a story about it.
The consistency is the most important thing, I
Yeah,
guess. In most cases, what happens is people talk about 10 different things. I've done
yeah,
this, I've done that. But I think what is more important is that you portray two, three things in a more stronger and a organized fashion. So that also shows the
yeah.
clarity of thought that an individual is bringing to the table.
Yeah, so for example, if you pick an essay, you can't talk about, like Piyush mentioned, 10 different things. You have to like highlight maybe one or two skills. And most of the essays have like diversity, equity, and inclusion in them. So you would definitely get an idea of what kind of strengths you need to highlight into these applications. And obviously, you need to even research the school. You can't, it's not like a one formula fits all.
Hmm.
It's very
Hmm.
important to customize, based on like a particular course. For example, Vanderbilt offers a very unique leadership course, which I did not find in
Hmm.
any other, college. So basically, you need to do your own research. I'm sure Tepper will have some tech kind of program which nobody else will offer.
Program.
Like it'll be a
Hmm.
module, but you need to like look into this, and you won't only know this by just browsing the website. You also have to network with other students because they have already done that. So uh, they will obviously be able to help you and give you pointers.
Now, one thing which is very important that you talked about is networking. And in fact, that's the secret thing that we mentioned in the title that we are going to talk about today. Now, a lot of people know that they have to connect with students. A lot of people know that they have to connect with admission committees. But for most of them, it's a transactional task that they are doing. It's like a one-off task, one-off activity that it's like a checkbox that they have to tick. That's all. But how did you go about doing it, like Shefali? Like
Yeah.
what according to you is the right networking thing, basically?
Okay, so I think again, it's all about starting early. Again, not everyone is going to be responsive, and not everyone is going to help you, but you have to like go about reaching out to people on LinkedIn, being cordial with people and not being pushy, and tell them that this is your background and you want to have a conversation about the school. And honestly, I had a very positive experience. I don't think there were people who didn't respond to me, even if they took maybe even 1 month to respond. They definitely did respond because these people want to promote their school. They want you to join. They want you to
Mhm.
learn more about their school too. So I think getting in touch early with everyone, understanding the program, that is very important. The first step that I took was not reach out to the students, but attend the online sessions directly hosted by the university itself.
The B school.
And when you usually get in touch with the university itself and attend those events, they automatically allocate a recruiting manager to you. So I had a recruiting manager who would always write to me, and like it was those promo emails that uh, uh, create an application, learn more, set up a call. So I actually took those initiatives. I set up a 101. I tried to learn more about the school. Then I connected with students. My strategy was to connect with students who basically had a similar background as me, or
Okay.
eventually wanted a post MBA goal that was the same as me.
Okay.
So I went about reaching to them, tried finding something in common. Maybe we had worked for the same company, or something like that. And then I reached out to them. They helped me understand the program. They helped me understand whether the school was the right fit for me. And yeah,
Hmm.
that's about it.
Okay. You have told a lot in very few lines, to be very honest, Sefali, and there's a lot of great information that you have shared. So I'll just try to summarize things. So, number one. don't reach out to students directly. Like in most of the cases, people go to them blankly. Don't do that. That's a very bad thing that throws them off. Do your own research. Shefali ensured that she attends events. She communicated with admission committees, the recruiting managers, developed a strong bond with them. Another important point, many times your recruitment manager or your adcom, let's call it the adcom also, they would try to set up one-on-one calls with you. They will send the emails, but many of us feel shy. Many of us think that okay,
Yeah.
we probably may not be ready if they say something wrong. That is something which you should avoid. Like again, you should be prepared for it. You should not go to the adcom unprepared without that. But setting up those one-on-one discussions help. The adcoms want to know you. They want to see the interest. And then when you're connecting with the student, identify the right people. Identify and ensure that you can connect with them. You have from the same industry, same company, or same future long-term goals, so that they also would like to connect with you. It's not just a random person sending them a random message. They understand the value that they will get out of having a discussion with you, right?
Yeah, and I think when you're even reaching out to students, it's not only important to find something similar. I think the chances of you having something similar with someone could be a low probability, but just like reach out to them and say you want to learn more and you have a few questions about the school, and obviously do your research, like maybe pick up and try to understand what is it like living in this city, what is the program like, how many days of the week. You can ask anything and they would be very welcome to, they'll welcome you, they'll answer all your questions. I think if you reach out to the student ambassadors first, that's also very positive because they are meant to help you. So that's another way that you could go about it. And they have, most of them have their like email IDs listed on the website. So just make sure that you know a little bit about the school before you reach out to anyone. And that can be done through the first step, which is attending an info session.
Great, great, great. So, two things you talked about: making sure that you have a consistent story, working on your profile, and networking before you do your applications. Now, let's move to the next thing, Shefali. So, what I understand from Shakib, who's the person you worked with, is that you did not end your networking just
Yeah.
before you submitted the application. You ensure that you continue doing it after the applications also. So, let's talk about the importance of it and how did it help you not just convert the school, also get a good scholarship from it. Basically.
Yeah. So I think once I submitted my application, I continued to attend those online events. And obviously, you can't keep attending the same info session. There will be something like a women's leadership session that would be held, and they would be doing something new. There are some professors who offer live classes online, so you could obviously register for those. Whatever takeaway you get from that, you could always write to your recruiting manager and tell them that, hey, I attended this session, it was very interesting, and this is what I learned about the program or the class or the professor or something, and you'd be very interested to learn more in the future should you get an admit. But obviously you need to like time them well. You can't go around sending an email every day or saying, I want to do this, I want to do that, I've done this, I've done that. You need to time it well, and you should not come across as annoying. That is my way to put it.
No, that's very important. So obviously, like B school, like adcoms get a lot of emails, and they want to
Yes.
you want to be in their good books always. So you want them to
Yeah.
remember you. At the same time, you don't want them to get annoyed by you. So that's a very
Yeah.
important thing that you mentioned. Like anything else that you did. Like so, one thing is you attended the events, you continued the conversations going by showing them that you're interested. You have it. So very subtly, what you're doing is you're passing them the information that I'm very interested in the program. A,
Yeah.
B, ensuring that I'm doing my groundwork. I'm actually researching about it still, and see that I'm still waiting to hear from you guys about my admit. So you're actually tackling multiple points. So any other
Yeah.
thing that you did, Shefali, basically.
Yes, I also, so again, when I reached out to students, I always try to reach out to at least a minimum of five students per school because you get like a
Okay.
different perspective from everyone. And I don't think you should just reach out to your fellow Indian students, you should reach out
Yeah.
to everyone, like anyone and everyone. So I did that, so I got a different viewpoint everywhere. And people where I felt we clicked and we had similar backgrounds, I kept in touch with them, and sometimes they would offer additional insight as to how I could go about doing things differently. And one of the things that I learned through this is when I got a wait list basically from Vanderbilt, I reached out to one of the fellow students and I suggested that, if you feel I'm a good fit, would you be open to writing me a recommendation letter or letter of support, rather? Letter of support is what it's
Hmm.
called. And he was very kind enough to write it and, share it with the admissions committee. So I think you can do things like that. Also, I know there are several schools who accept that because they just want
Hmm.
the student, an existing student, to walk up to them and tell them like, "Hey, I think she'd be a great fit. She can contribute in this club because we've already discussed that." And coming from a direct student, I think this is very meaningful for like the admissions committee. But again, you can't, force multiple people to write these for you, or neither can you, force anyone to write it for you. It has to be like a genuine letter, and someone should be willing to write it for you, which I believe only happens when you make meaningful connections with someone.
No, we have one question which is related to that also. So I'll take that question up first, and then I'll add a few things from my side which I wanted to talk about. So Arpit is asking that what kind of questions did you ask the student ambassadors in evaluating you being a good fit? So, yeah.
Um, Well, I didn't specifically ask them if I was a good fit. It's also about you deciding for yourself if you feel that college is good enough for you, if it offers you everything that you want. So, for example, if I wanted to do banking again, I needed to make sure that they had a solid financial course, or like a module to get me to where I wanted. So I basically picked around the course, the professors, who had the most interesting classes, and a bunch of other questions like that.
And again, you have to understand that questions are unique questions for everyone. Like what fits for Shefali may not fit for you because you have to do your own research, understand where it fits. And as I said, it should not be transactional. It should not be just meant to kind of get a letter of recommendation from them. It should be genuine connections that you're making with people. It should be genuine. See, at the end of the day, when you want to get into the B school, you want a clear outcome out of it. So you want that, okay, in the long run, I want to be here. So the questions that are there in your mind should be the genuine questions that you're asking them. And it is very important to have that clarity because if you don't have that clarity, that, okay, what am I gonna do after my MBA? Probably you're not gonna ask the right questions to the right
Yeah.
people either.
I think you
That's
can even
important.
be asking some really small basic questions, like even how is living like in a city. Obviously, the full call can't
Hmm.
be around what's it like living in, say, Nashville or even Charlottesville or anywhere. You have to, you can ask these basic questions. No one's going to stop you. But yeah, I think the
And these
large
are
part of this
genuine
comes.
questions. These are
Yeah,
genuine questions
definitely.
because if you're going to be a student over there, you are going to spend at least a couple of years of your life there. You're going to learn a lot from the community. So you want to actually know about this. So the main idea, Arpit, is to be genuine. I think that's the main thing which you have to ask. And at the same
Yeah.
time, like what happens with many people, like especially I feel with us Indians, is that we hesitate a lot in speaking to others. We ourselves doubt that this might be a very silly question basically to ask. But honestly,
Yeah.
as Sefali said, we can even ask questions like how good is the city? Like those things are always welcomed, basically.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
another thing that
uh,
you can do,
please go ahead.
sorry, about reaching out to other students is sometimes you can just write out, for example, if you're coming from a consulting background and you want to go back to consulting, or you're coming from a different background and you want to get into consulting, you can always write to the
Mhm.
consulting club, and they would definitely, because it's a common email ID, so someone would always be willing to, help you out, answer any
Reply.
questions that you have, and that's a great way to connect with people too. I didn't do that, but it's something that I
No,
did
that's a
come
neat
across.
trick. That's
Yeah.
a neat trick
In fact,
actually because
someone from the
you're not
admissions,
getting individual responses.
in
Uh,
fact, someone from the another school's admissions committee suggested that I do that when I suggested I wanted to learn more about a particular club.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So I'll just be adding a few pointers here. So I was there in a conference which was organized for all admission consultants by top B schools, and this conference happened in Kellogg, Chicago Booth, and Michigan Ross. So I was in all three campuses basically, and there were multiple rounds of discussions which were happening. And some of the questions being asked to the panel were around how to convert wait lists and how to convert B schools. And some of the key tips which were given, like few of them we have just covered, like networking, making sure that you connect and be in touch with the adcom, stay in their mind always, like they should know you well. Second, get a letter of support from either a student or an alumni. So that also shows that this person has basically been backed up by someone who we have trusted, basically, or who is taking our brand forward. Third
Yeah.
thing, if you get any sort of promotions in your work, or if you make a significant work achievement, you can always inform them about that. That also helps. Fourth, you can always talk about better test scores. If you have improved your score, inform them about that. So basically, everything and everything which is in your capacity to show them that you have more intent. In fact, there were many adcoms who even mentioned that visiting the B school also helps us connect with you better, also help us convert the school better. Now, again, I know some of you might think, okay, USA, we cannot go to that easily. Visa issues are always there. So at one point of time, I was also thinking of applying to colleges in Europe, basically, and European visas are easier to get. And I honestly was thinking to kind of just travel to visit the campus, and not just because I wanted to get in the good books of the AdCom. That was one of the reasons, but the primary reason was to actually be there and actually understand how things work. So if you are not able to physically visit it, at least virtually, whatever is possible in your capacity to connect with students and know about the community, it is very, very difficult for you to do so. So Arpit has a follow-up question, I guess, and I think that the answer is a mix of the two. So I still put it up that like I am assuming a lot of these conversations would be over calls and not just emails.
I think 100% of them were over calls. Emails, very few. Like, I think it was probably just one email to connect. That's it.
Okay, okay, okay. So that's great. So any other tips, Shefali, that you wanted to talk about with respect to the applications, like what people should keep in mind when they're applying to top B schools in US?
Yeah, I think more on the essay bit, if that's fine. Should I go ahead
Yeah,
and
please go
yeah?
ahead,
So I
please go
think
ahead. Anything.
So I think, yeah. So for the waitlist essays, what I try to focus on is not only. So I actually mentioned who all I had reached out to. For example, not every name, but like 10 plus students and the ones that I was frequently in touch with. There was a very important or like very popular seminar that had, that was launched in the college, and someone from Goldman Sachs and all had come in. So I actually
Okay,
reached out to a current student while I was in the wait list, learned more about what that session was about, and
okay.
expressed my interest in the waitlist uh,
Safe.
essay, basically explaining what I had learned and how this would be very valuable for me, considering I wanted to, work in XYZ field. So
Hmm.
I think that also helped. Basically, just express your interest. Never hesitate to actually name down the people that you have interacted with.
Hmm.
Mention why you would like to do a particular class, and why that is important to you, and who the professor is. You can mention tons of things in your essays. Basically,
No,
you just
these
have to
are really,
customize
really
it.
good points.
Yeah.
These are really great points, and in fact, shows the level of detail one has to go to and level of effort one has to put in. So obviously, if you want to convert your dream B school, you need to put in that effort. It's not easy. Most of you think that okay, I'll just get done with my test and I'll apply
Yeah.
and I'll get in, but that's a very very basic mentality. Which again, I don't like blame anyone for that. We have been brought up in a community where it has always been about the scores. You hit a certain score, you apply, and you're just selected based on your score. But when you look at foreign B schools, they're not just looking at a score. Score is just a number for them. And obviously, you would basically probably have seen a lot of people who have gotten in with low scores. For them, what is important is the individual who they are bringing onto the campus. They understand that this particular individual brings a lot of qualities. Just because he or she has a high score doesn't mean that this person is going to be a fit for their program. So that's what the B
That's
school
right.
is actually looking at, and that's what you need to focus on, I guess. Okay. So yeah,
Yes.
so great, Shefali, great tips from your side, and I'm very, very happy to hear it coming from you, who has actually applied all of it. And again, hearing it from the adcoms is one thing. Hearing it from a student who has made it work for her is a great thing. So heartily congratulations for converting
Yeah.
Vanderbilt, and let's hope you are able to get a better scholarship. You're still in discussions around it, is what I understand. And like, thank you so much for taking out time today and sharing your thoughts with students. I'm sure a lot of people will benefit from your discussion. Definitely.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting this and for having me.
Thank you, Shefali. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye.